Hey guys, what's up? I'm Dave Klein and welcome to my gameplay discussion video. I will be posting footage over this stuff, so don't worry. Just kind of introing it this way for those of you guys who want footage. I'm not allowed to show actual footage from the event itself of me playing Dark Souls 2. This is from the San Francisco event that was in late January. But I will show whatever I can to illustrate the things I talk about. So this is going to be a gameplay specific video, a little bit more informal than the way I'm going to try and do the lore video. And yeah, that's kind of the way I'm going to be structuring it. It's going to be two separate videos, so those of you guys who don't want anything lore-wise ruined for you, I'm not going to ruin any of that here. That will be a totally separate video. And total warning here, I did play the first 40-50 minutes of the game at this event I was at. I had a chance. This will be some impressions of it, gameplay impressions I'm going to be giving you guys. So if you don't want any of that stuff spoiled, click away now, because that's what this is going to be. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we got starting off the game that I got out of it, that I, outside the intro, which, you know, that'll be lore stuff, is Fashion Souls, guys. Fashion Souls is back in a sense. So they're making it so customizing your character is a lot more like Demon Souls. You can really go in and fine-tune that chin structure, you know, make it look how you really want it to look, make it look as beautiful or ugly as you want, which I don't know, I'm happy about. I actually enjoyed that element. I like that. I like making characters look goofy as hell or look like me so I can really feel like I'm in the game. And, you know, whatever element to an extreme you want. So they did really upgrade that from Dark Souls, but, you know, a little bit more Demon Souls in that sense. So as far as the accessibility that we've all been hearing about goes, I think I really know what they're talking about. So they're not making the game any less difficult, as they've said, but the accessibility really, you feel that immediately. So from a story perspective, the story, and this won't ruin anything, but from a story perspective, you really have more of a sense of what you're doing and a purpose in the story right away, which makes it more accessible for new players. And then as far as the gameplay itself, there's pretty much a tutorial area that's immediately accessible, just like in Demon Souls, just like in Dark Souls, except for it's pretty much, it seems to be entirely skippable, and I think it is entirely skippable. Now, I don't know if you get anything for actually doing all the tutorial, because I only did a few parts of it, and I realized what it was. I'm like, oh, I got a piece out of this, because I don't care about the tutorial. I want to play the game itself. But it seems like it is entirely skippable, at least in the build that I got the chance to play. The other thing is there was no big bad boss in the tutorial, at least not that I got to, and I was able to skip past, like I said, the tutorial. So as far as I got, there's no big bad boss. It does seem like they explain things a little bit easier, more progressively in the tutorial if you do go through that part and choose to go through that. But I think that's, again, making it more accessible. So there's not that freaky holy crap moment in like the Asylum Demon the first time you played Dark Souls, or the giant demon that's in Demon Souls at the beginning either, that you have to run away from in Dark Souls, which to me was more of a holy crap moment in Dark Souls because you have to beat that thing and you run away from it first. But taking that out, as much as I enjoy that holy crap moment, it does make it more accessible for new players, but it doesn't necessarily mean the game's going to be easier. So don't worry, the game's not necessarily easier, but that's kind of how it seems like they're handling the tutorial, and I think that's what they're doing with making it more accessible. And then another thing they're doing to make it more accessible is literally the moment you go to your first bonfire, you will see a warp option immediately. You can warp from bonfires, between bonfires, immediately back and forth. And I've talked about my lore speculation for why I think they're doing that, part of why, and you can watch that stuff for the lore stuff, because again, I'm not going to talk about it here. But as far as an accessibility factor goes, that's kind of one of the big things that they're doing to make it more accessible, is you can warp immediately. You don't have to worry about backtracking if you don't want to. Now, I like exploring. I think that's part of what makes Dark Souls what it is. So I don't know how I'm going to end up feeling about this, but, you know, I mean, it's an option. So it's an option. You can skip it if you don't want it. If you do want it and you want to start using, because, I mean, hell, after you get the Lord Vessel, you're going to use it anyways in Dark Souls. So, you know, I mean, it's there right away. So feel about it how you will. I think that's the other accessibility factor right there. But outside of that, I think that's all they really did. I think that's pretty much it. Actually, one more thing with that. There's a bunch of NPCs you meet at the very beginning of the game in Majula, which is the first town. And they kind of give you a little bit more guidance. Like, there's one NPC who's sort of like the crestfallen warrior type of character. And he pretty much tells you, like, alright, you should probably go to this area first. You probably want to avoid these areas. Hell, this area you can't even go to yet. So he kind of gives you a little bit more guidance. So I guess in that regard, you're probably not going to accidentally trope into the catacombs unless you don't talk to anyone and you're kind of slightly retarded. So yeah, that's kind of what they're doing to make it more accessible. But then outside of that stuff, the one that I added on, I think it's pretty much the same thing that you're going to be getting. So the other thing that we should talk about is the exploration factor of the game. So one thing I like about Dark Souls over Demon Souls, and actually the reason I really do like Dark Souls over Demon Souls, is because I feel like there's more exploration to it, because everything kind of intertwines with each other. You do have Firelink Shrine, which is sort of like your Nexus area, but I feel like it's more Metroidvania style, where you open up shortcuts to one another and pieces that fit together, and I really love that aspect. And immediately off the bat with Dark Souls 2, exploration seems to be a huge factor. There are immediately branching paths. It's very non-linear in a Mega Man sense of the way of non-linear, immediately, right off of the bat. So exploration-wise, it seems very heavy set in that, and even more so possibly than Dark Souls. And I really like that. I love that right off the bat. I had a great impression from that. But speaking of, I've been talking about Demon Souls and making comparisons to that a lot. When I talked in an interview, Jay Karchi, and there's I'll go ahead and link to the interview in this. Jay Karchi, he was talking about it reminding, kind of being very more Demon Souls in a lot of ways, and I've felt that way too. And before I even talked to him about it, it really does feel Demon Souls just in terms of the combat itself, the way parrying works. Parrying feels, to me, it felt like you're rewarded for being a little bit more delayed in parrying, whereas in Dark Souls you're rewarded for doing it a little bit more early, I feel like. That's kind of the timing that I was feeling just off of this immediate impression of parrying, and it feels a little different than Dark Souls. It feels a little bit more like Demon Souls again in that regard, and just in general, a lot of the combat kind of felt more Demon Souls-esque, which, yeah, it's fine. I don't know. You can decide what you think about it, but I still enjoyed it. I had a blast playing, and honestly, every build, progressively, I had a chance to play the E3 build at E3, I had a chance to play the beta build, and now I've had a chance to play what I believe is the final build, and every build, in my opinion, has gotten progressively better, including this build. If you enjoy the beta, this is another step up. So, it's fantastic. So, another thing is, yeah, it's hard to talk about this thing without ruining the lore a little bit. It really is important to the gameplay, so if you guys want to just turn it off here, you can turn it off here. It's not going to ruin much about the lore, it's just kind of like an important piece for talking about a gameplay change. And this is really a little more of a Demon Souls twist here. Again, look, Demon Souls is a completely different game. I'm not talking about Demon Souls lore. There's a new Maiden in Black-esque character, and when I say that, I mean someone who you go to her, you talk to her, she's the one you level up through. She's also the person you upgrade your, well, this is ruining lore stuff, so I'm not going to talk about it, but she is the person you level up through. Now, bonfires, instead, you don't level up from bonfires anymore. You warp through them. That's also where you rest and refill Estus flasks, I believe. But you don't level up through them anymore. Now it's more of a Maiden in Black type of character. So that's kind of a change, making it more like Demon Souls. So again, hopefully that doesn't ruin anything lore-wise for you guys. I'm sorry if that's ruining stuff. I tried giving you that warning at the beginning, but that's kind of a change up that they're doing. That's pretty different. That's pretty significant, I think, and it seems like there is a lore reason for it, which I'll talk about in the lore video. But anyways, if you guys don't want any of that stuff, that's why I'm not talking about it here. So some items that I want to talk about that aren't lore related, just briefly here. So there is a ring that I found right away that seems to make it easier to join up with friends. So if you guys seem to be worshiping the same god, or what I'm assuming is the same covenant type of deal, it makes it so it's easier for you guys to do co-op together, or even maybe possibly join up for PvP battles, which I think is great. This is something that people have been complaining about for Dark Souls, and rightly so. It's hard to partner up with your buddy, especially if you're trying to do co-op. So it seems like this is going to be one of those things that helps make that element a little bit easier to do. So props to them. I did want to talk about that ring for that reason. Another thing was that there was a certain hat that I got off of the bat one of the things that you can do when you're choosing your build. And this hat was a boosted my item discovery. So, I mean, I know the Gold Coveted Serpent Ring was an item that boosted your item discovery, but it makes me wonder if there's going to be multiple items here that boost your item discovery and exactly what they're doing now that there's no humanity counter up top that helps that item discovery boost, as it's all just human effigies at this point. So, that's another thing that they're going to be changing up. Now, as far as covenants go, there's the only ones that I found were the ones that we really know about in the beta, except for this new covenant that I think is called the Covenant of Victors or something to that extent. I can't remember offhand, but I think it's something like you're basically perma-gravelording yourself, which I think that's pretty badass. You gotta give it to them. That's a pretty awesome change up there. So I gotta say, I like that one. That's a pretty cool one. And one last thing that I forgot to mention, and I'm kind of cutting back to because I was trying to remember one last thing I wanted to talk about. There are a lot of classes at the beginning, and the one class that I did note that you guys will be glad is back is a depraved class. You can be completely depraved again if you guys so choose. So kind of noted that I wanted to be like, got it. Want to make sure that's there. So that option is still there. So of course you can go depraved and perma Gravelord off the bat, it looks like. So some pretty cool stuff there. But that pretty much wraps up a lot of my gameplay thoughts. A lot of it I did talk about in the beta gameplay, which was a little bit long. I know that was a long video where I talked about my gameplay impressions. It really hasn't changed much from the beta, honestly, in terms of the way the gameplay works. So that's why I'm not talking too much about the specific fighting mechanics, because I've already talked about that from the E3 build. I've talked about that from the beta build. If you guys want to go watch those older videos, I do talk about that stuff. So I just want to talk about specific things that I got out of playing this first basically 50 minutes of the game that were various gameplay things that I noted. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a little bit briefer, which I'm hopefully it was briefer than some of the other ones I've done, because those ones were way too long. So anyways, for you guys who want lore, that video will be coming up. That's going to be the last one. I kind of had that intro video, the Suck at Terramantis video, this video, and now the lore is going to be my last one from this event. So it's kind of a four videos for it, because, you know, 4 Lord Souls, 4 videos. That's how we're doing it. So guys, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys in the lore video for you guys who are joining me for that. And if you guys aren't, March, guys. Seriously, final impression though, as I said, E3, I was kind of skeptical. Beta, I was so excited and I could not wait to play. And then John and I had a chance to play this newest build, which is basically the end build, and it looks fantastic. I'm not joking when I say that. Was all John and I were talking about on the drive back from San Francisco to LA was, we just want to play the game right now. It is that good. We just want to start playing it because it's so good. So I'm really excited about it. I had a ton of fun. I really cannot emphasize how much fun I had. And talking to the Namco Bandai games guys, it sounds like that's all they're doing right now in their offices. They're playing it and talking about it and trading info with each other and how much fun they're having. And oh my god, have you guys gotten to this point? Have you gotten to this point? Wait, which branching path did you take? How did you get there? So it seems like those guys are having a blast with it too. So those are the final impressions. So guys, March can't come soon enough, as I keep saying. So I'll see you guys in March, or for other Dark Souls videos, please make sure to check out my other content if you guys haven't. And again, lore guys, see you guys soon. See you later. Peace out, guys. Later.